Chris, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. I'm going to go through and talk a little bit about your delivery, look at your mechanics, and just try to get you to a point where you're using that body. It's just the theme of pitchers your age is just the ability to sort of refocus your energy, refocus sort of your thinking to your lower body. It's just so much the lower body, the hips, the legs. That's just such a driving force in your delivery and your mechanics and velocity that we got to make sure that we're really emphasizing using that body, getting everything going, staying closed, and we'll go through and talk a little bit about that in sort of more detail. Your whole foundation's pretty good. You're doing a lot of good things right. Now it's just a matter of getting yourself going with more momentum, more power, staying closed, especially lower half-wise, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But again, there's a lot of things you're doing right. You have a good sort of idea of everything. Now it's just a few tweaks to really maximize yourself. All right, and we'll go and talk about some things each step. All right, so now right off the bat, all right, we're going to look at once this foot starts coming up. All right, where our balance is, where our posture is. All right, good thing right off the bat, eyes on the catcher. All right, I always like to see that. So as you're lifting up, you're not seeing a whole lot of movement one way or the other. Okay, that's good. We want to make sure that we're staying loaded up over this back leg. You're doing that really well. All right, so now what we look at is we're going to try to figure out basically the whole starting point of everything, and that's your balance point. All right, and that's where this knee gets to its highest point. All right, so we're going to go look at where that knee gets to its highest point. All right, and that's right here, somewhere between one of these frames. We'll call it, we'll call it right about here. All right. So at this point, this is where everything starts. All right, if this is, if we're not starting at this point, if we're doing something else, we got a timing off, it's going to show up down the hill. This dictates so much about how we're going to finish that it's almost one of the most important parts to look at of your mechanics. All right. So off the bat, good. You got your hips closed. All right. You got your hips in a good position to get going. All right. You can see that your hands drop from right here. They drop down. So what we want to try to do is to clean up movements. We want to make sure there's no unnecessary movements. The more movement we have, the harder it is to time. All right, we want to make sure that we're able to time everything. So the more we're moving around, it's just going to be harder to time. So you're going down there anyway. So get that glove set down a little bit lower. All right above your belly button, around underneath your chest, somewhere around there, to cut down that distance. Having your hands up high and then breaking them down doesn't create any extra arm speed. It doesn't benefit it. It hampers you more than it does benefit. All right, it just is too hard to time. There's just a lot of things that can go wrong with your hands up there. So just tuck them down there, and you'll be good to go. So now, how everything needs to start is we got to start seeing the hips lead down the mound. And what I mean by that is just your hips are staying out in front of your foot. So we don't want this foot to kick out and start to lead. So we want to get distance. We want to get our body going down the hill with our hips. All the legs are going to do are just going to that heel's just kind of going to fall forward, that knee's going to go down, and they're just going to slag behind the hips as the hips just drive forward with as much force as you can. All right. So then once that starts, the hips forward, legs go down, then we got to have that ball pop out of that glove before we really get going too quickly. All right. So that's just the timing. It's just basically all those three things happen at the same time. Hands break, hips go, and the knee and foot follows. All right. So you're gonna just watch as you get going here. All right. You can see you're doing pretty good at getting your hips going, but what you're seeing is this foot swing out a little bit early. All right, and all that's gonna do. All right. You can see it kind of straighten up here, and then just kind of swing around. And so basically if we take a line from your back foot straight to the catcher, you can see how you pop and swing open. All right, so now you've lost this lower body. Now your hips are open, You're not storing up any energy to use them. So just work on getting a line drawn, and just try to land somewhere on that line, and that just keeps you more close. Because what we want, because the driving force behind velocity is hip and shoulder separation. We want our right hip to start going before our right shoulder. All right, you can see that they rotate at the same time, and your shoulder's almost ahead of your lower body a little bit. All right, so we want to try to have hips in this position here, and then this upper body back at that position, back here where it hasn't rotated yet. All right, and that's that separation. That's where we get our velocity. All right, so now that you've kind of got out front a little bit at foot strike, so once this front foot first hits the ground, which is right here, all right, you can see that your weight is now over this front side. We still want it to be loaded up back here. All right, we can tell that it's loaded up on that front side because your knee's out over your front or over your ankle. All right, that there's you just can't have your weight still back with your knee out there. So you just got to make sure you're keeping your hips closed longer and just driving them farther down the mound. So you're reaching out here. You're getting a little bit more angle where your knee's behind your foot. So now you're just loading up. You still have everything loaded up back here, ready to transfer forward. All right. Upper body wise, you're having a pretty good angle here. Your arm's a little bit late. All right. You're getting that glove out over that front foot a little bit. All right. And through your release, you can just see how you're starting to get forward a little bit early. So you can see this angle here. All right, and that's just part of this, just part of that getting out front early. Everything's going to rotate early. Get out over that front hip. We're seeing rotation out here. We want to see everything rotating back here. So you're still, your head's probably back here. You're still going to have a bend in your back like you do a little bit, but you're just staying back a lot longer so you can drive through that front foot. And so then through release, you're doing good at getting your legs straight, getting a little bit of angle, but you can see your head's still over this back foot. So you're still behind your foot. We want to try to shift that forward, and we want to try to get your head out over that front foot. So now we're out over here. Now we're getting a little bit more angle. All right, that ball's going to be releasing out here. You're going to be getting a little bit more behind it. So just try to work on getting that chest, using that back to finish all the way out over that front foot instead of back over here. You're just not maximizing your body. You can see you kind of are drifting out to the side where we want that momentum going forward. All right, so you're just kind of off to the side. But I'm just saying you got a lot more in there that you can use. You got a lot more body, a lot more power you're going to be able to maximize. Just staying back a little bit more, keeping more load in that knee. We want to almost feel like that knee's trying to turn towards the ground right there. But the biggest thing is just hips closed longer, farther down the mound, land in line with that back foot, and then you're going to be good to go. So I mean, arm health wise, your elbows right around shoulder height. There's not a whole lot of red flags showing me that as you get older and start throwing harder, it's going to pose some injuries. It's just a matter of just staying closed longer. All right, especially this front side. Let this glove get out here and just keep it out front, and don't try to tuck it into your chest. All right, we should still see it out at that highest point out there. All right, you get it out here, and then it's just a rotating towards it. Rotate that body towards that glove, so then at release, that glove's not right on your chest. It's out here a little bit. All right, so that's just the thing with you, is just maximizing body, maximizing legs, and when you get older and you start getting more powerful, it's just going to come a lot easier. So hopefully you had a good time at camp. You're able to see a few things from the video, and we look forward to seeing you again with ABC.